Escalated tensions between the U.S. and Iran from this week have U.S. government officials on high alert for Iran's most likely form of response, cybersecurity attacks. GenTrust Chief Investment Officer Jim Besaw joins us now to discuss. Jim, good to see you here. And interesting notes from you. You actually model cyber attacks in as a key risk to your portfolios. Why are you taking that action right now?
Yeah, we've been doing that for a while. I think that it's certainly more relevant after the last week's events in Iran. We had kind of put an estimate of cyber attacks around 2 or 3% as of last year, the year before. We've elevated those to about 5%. And the way that we think about cyber attacks are things such as something that causes widespread drop in confidence across the general populace. So things like a compromised bank account numbers at a large institution that forces them to close for a period of time.
As you take up that risk component in the portfolio, are there certain stocks that you sell?
Not necessarily, no. I think what it helps us do is think about the risks of client portfolios more broadly. So certainly a cyber attack would have different impacts on different sort of asset classes. So gold would probably be positive. Things like treasuries would probably be positive. Certainly equities would be negative, and probably more negative in the country that's the most affected. So what allows us to do is make sure that our clients are not overly exposed to that sort of event.
Jim, do we also have to worry about copycat cyber attacks, maybe extremist individuals who say, oh, good, now I can go ahead and do this under the guise of it being Iran?
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think that's when we model cyber attacks, we're not necessarily saying this will definitely come from Iran. We're thinking of it more broadly. But your point is exactly right, that this kind of gives other potential cyber attackers a veil to come in and say, North Korea or Russia or Ukraine. It allows them more cover to potentially make those attacks and be able to have the populace think it might be coming from Iran.
Have you added any specific stocks based on increased cybersecurity risk? No,
I think what we've done is not necessarily on the stock side. What we've done is we've added more protection to portfolios. So we're one of the few places that I know of that has been long fixed income for a period of time, which worked out fairly well last year, even though stocks did much better. So not shying away from the safety assets for client portfolios. That's basically what we've been trying to do at GenTrust.
So you haven't plowed into cybersecurity stocks because that's what we've been seeing. We've been talking about it all week.
Big rise in them this week.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I think that we're not stock pickers, so we're not looking at individual stocks. Certainly, cybersecurity as a broad sector is something that's very interesting. I think there will be a lot of winners and losers in that space. And because it's such a fast-growing space, you'll see more volatility.
What would make someone a winner in that space? It is a crowded space right now.
Yeah, I think it depends on what the threat is. So, for example, if there's some sort of, whether it's a malware threat or some sort of unique thing that a company is particularly well suited for. Think of the Ebola incident. Nobody knew that the handful of companies that were creating vaccines for Ebola would be the winner in some sort of event like that, yet they ultimately prevailed. So because you don't necessarily know in what form the attack will come, it makes it difficult to pick individual securities. So having a broad-based approach where you're owning more of the whole sector makes a lot more sense in our opinion.
All right, Jim Besaw, thanks so much.
Thank you.